Hello everyone, welcome to our watercolor project. We're done with our collage and I wanted to do something kind of fresh for spring that you can use on any type of spring flower. It's a little technique that I have, all right? It's kind of fun and it's very fresh and loose and I think you'll really enjoy it. So we're going to start out with just watercolor. All right, this is our reference image. Feel free to use whatever, you'll see what I mean by this, but feel free to use whatever reference you want to. But this is our reference, all right? And so we don't need many colors. We need some yellow, bright yellow, we need some violet, and we need some green, or blue and yellow, you know, blue to mix with the yellow if you want to make green. I just have some flat brushes. You could use a round brush, okay, anything. I have here a piece of sparkle covered cold press watercolor paper that I really love. Any watercolor paper is fine, even your sketchbook. I think this would be really fun to make maybe a greeting card for Easter for someone, you know, that kind of thing. So I wouldn't go too big with it, and we'll probably even paint these about life size, maybe a little bit less, okay, when you print, if you print it. But you'll see, you don't even really need to. Okay, so let's talk about our colors. We want to start with a bright yellow. And I am actually, let's see here. I'm going to use this plate. I wonder, well, there's never enough room. I'm going to put, you don't really need to see my paint, so I'm going to keep my plate here. It's more important, I think, that you see that than the actual colors, and I'll make sure that I mention the colors as I grab them. All right, so we're going to start with bright yellow. I have Hansa Yellow Light, or actually it's Winsor Lemon, which is Hansa Yellow Light. It's super, super bright, semi-transparent, cool yellow. And I've got Indian Yellow, and I'm gonna mix the two together to give myself a nice school bus yellow. All right, nice and bright. All right, so we're gonna start really bright like this, and we're gonna look at our image, and we're gonna paint big loose shapes. So I'm gonna start at the top, and I just see kind of a thing like that, and then right below it I see like this, and then I see one right below that. I'm just gonna kind of paint that, and then sort of down a little bit I'm gonna paint that, and notice that I'm not paying much attention. I'm just kind of painting some big yellow shapes. All right, so that's that. Then in my yellow pile, I'm going to add a touch of violet, okay? So this is Winsor Violet. It's just a purple. If you don't have Winsor Violet or dioxazine violet, you can use any red and blue really to make a little bit of purple. We just need to make something that makes a darker yellow without turning it green. And I'm just going to put a little bit sort of in the center, maybe along one side, if you see it a little bit dark somewhere. See what I'm doing? Just a little bit here and there, not too much. Just a little bit to give it a little bit of depth. All right, we don't need too much. Okay. Now I want to go to green. All right, so we can just mix it all right here. I have sap green on my palette, so I could use that. You could mix up a green. Everybody knows how to mix a green at this point. I've got, this is a little olive green. I'm just going to show you how much it does not matter. This is sap green. So you mix a green that you like. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, and then I want to take a little bit of that green and I want to put some bright yellow into it. And so I get kind of a more of a yellow green. And I'm gonna use that towards the bottom of my leaves or where I need it. I'm gonna start actually up here with this one, and I'm just gonna put green and just try to stay with the shapes that you see, all right? And then here, so it kind of comes up to the flower like this, it kind of comes out, and then it comes down, right? And then here we've got one that kind of comes out and down. And then this one, can't really see, but it comes out this way for sure, and then down. All right, and then we can grab our other green and we can just make more solid okay. I'll grab a little more. And then I've got, there's a one coming down from here. And we don't need to worry at all because you'll see why. Just make some really loose. And they don't even have to match exactly what you've got here. All right. I think that's fine. Then we'll bring one up here maybe. And then we'll just take it right off the page, which I like. Okay, that's it. So super loose and fresh. Now, this has to dry before we move on. Okay, so I'm just gonna let this sit. It shouldn't take too long. But super easy. You can do this rapid fire a whole bunch of times, okay? You can use any flowers. You could do tulips and hyacinths and grape hyacinths and crocuses and all sorts of flowers, all right? Keep the colors really simple. Don't paint any detail. We're just putting big, loose shapes of color that don't even have to match exactly. And you'll see why in a little bit. All right, I'm gonna let this dry and then I'll be back. Okay, so now for part two. And for part two, you have many options. You can use a fine brush with watercolor if you want to keep it all watercolor. Or you could use a pencil. You could use a pen. You could use a fountain pen, any kind of pen with any color of ink that you choose. Or you can use colored pencils, and that's what I'm gonna do. So if you use colored pencils, this is my advice. My painting is mostly yellow and green, so I took out my colored pencils in the yellow range. I don't have that many, but I took out all the yellows that I have, and then my greens. So I've got several greens here and several yellows. You don't even need this many, but I just took them out. And then the opposite of the main color is violet, right? Yellow and violet. We have violet in here, so I chose violet. Let's say you were doing like hot magenta geraniums or something. I would, for my opposite color, I would do like maybe a turquoise, right? So just something that's a little bit opposite. That's one of the yellows. That's way too light anyways. Some of these need sharpening. So I'm gonna turn this off and do that really quickly. But basically keep it simple. The main colors of your piece, so mine would be yellow and green, and then an opposite color, okay? I could also go red because red is the opposite of green, but I like the violet because I use some violet in the painting. All right, so I sharpened some of these. Now, the materials you choose should be based on the look that you want, right? If you want something really bold and graphic, I would go with a black pen or even a brown pen. If you want something more soft and you want to keep it watercolor, go with your same palette and use a long, skinny, liner brush that you can draw with. If you want it sort of natural and muted and subtle, go with, colored pencils, but you can also go with graphite pencils, right? It's really up to you. I'm choosing to use colored pencils because I want kind of a natural look. I want to keep to the colors that I'm sort of using in the picture, and I just hardly ever use my colored pencils, so I want to. I'm going to actually start with this sort of bright yellow, and I'm going to look at my picture, and I'm going to try to follow more of what I see on the picture. So then if I see a darker color, I might go in with colored pencil, right? And make it a little bit more like what I see. I'm not very good with colored pencils, so I kind of want to make this ruffly edge here, right? And you could do this with black also, right? You're just basically drawing. Right? And you don't have to fill it in with color. We're just drawing, right? We're just drawing on top. Notice that I'm keeping things rather simple. Here I'm using a really dark yellow just to put some of the darkest bits that I see. Come back to this. So I'm using these pencils to kind of just give a little bit more realism to it. But I'm not, how do I want to say it? I'm not trying to be really real. See that? And here's my trumpet. I've got some dark in here. And I can use some brighter green because I see a little green, so I could just kind of put a hint of that, right? So it's just fun. We are not stressed about it at all. We're keeping things loose and free. But we are clearly dealing with daffodils, right? Okay. Actually, I wanted to use some of this darker color here. I've got some I went too dark. That's okay. It'll look good. I don't have just the right color, so I'm just using what I have. And it still works, right? All right. And then here, I've got okay. And then in here, I've got the dark. And then in here, I've got the really dark parts. And we can use a lighter color. Not sure if it'll work. Yeah, it won't work. So I'm gonna go ahead and make it darker. All right, where's my light green? And I put some light green up towards this part. Are there any other ones that have green on them? Maybe a little bit on this one. Love the way that looks. Okay, now our leaves. So I kind of like this green. So we can use this to give a little bit of shading to our leaves, right? And we're not, again, we're not trying to be realistic. We're just adding details in a very loose way. And make kind of make kind of some sense of some of these other ones, right? You can notice where they're dark, put a little darkness, and I am not trying to be real specific. All right, then I'm gonna take a little bit of a brighter green. And then we go back to the bright green, and you can just brighten up a couple spots. There you go. Now, for the violet, what I'm gonna do is take a little bit of the violet and use it to enhance the shadows, just like I did with the paint, okay? Some of those ruffles, because it just gives it a little bit more realism without getting too real. And just where there's shadows, just put a few little touches here and there. And that violet looks totally natural, right? But it gives it something a little bit different. And then I think I'll go in and just fill in this yellow here. There. And there you have it. So super fun, super fresh. Any skill level, right, can make something beautiful with this technique. Put your color down, and it's also very quick. So if you don't have a lot of time, this is the perfect kind of way to do something. And I think the results are wonderful. All right, you could even go, you know, a little bit brighter with your violet if you wanted to. This one may be a little bit brighter, right? You can do that too, and just in a couple places, right? Just a little bit. Pretty fun. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoy it. I will give you this reference so you can practice on the daffodils first, and then I want you to find your own flower. All right, I want you to find something, you know, you can even try putting a little bit of violet up on the flower if you wanted to, but not necessary. So then I want you to try your own flowers, either from your garden, from a photo that you have, or you can even search for one online. All right, and then share them. I think this is a super fun way. And you know, try colored pencils, try pencil, try marker, try pen, try watercolor. But as you saw, I wasn't being exact, I wasn't being picky, I was just putting it down. All right, and we can look at something and put it down in the way we see it and not have to be exact and get a really sort of fresh looking replica of what we're trying to create. Okay? All right, loosen up. Those are the words. I will see you soon. Have a great weekend. Take care.